Since 2019, the price of eating at a casual dining restaurant has gone up 34%. Not a little, not gradually enough to absorb. 34% in 5 years, while the people who used to eat at these restaurants every week have been squeezed by rising rent, rising groceries, rising everything, so they stopped going. And the chains that built their entire business model on the assumption that middle-income American families would always want to sit down for a $60 dinner, the chains that borrowed heavily, sold their real estate, cut corners on service, and raised prices anyway, are now discovering what happens when you bet on a customer who has quietly found somewhere cheaper to be. More than 20 restaurant chains or large-scale franchisees filed for bankruptcy in 2025. The casual dining sector is now facing the wave of debt, the wave of customer defection, and the wave of a structural shift in how Americans eat that no rebranding or menu update can reverse. These are the 9 casual dining chains falling apart in 2026. Number 9, Bar Louie. Bar Louie is a gastro bar chain known for its martini selection and pub-style food. At its peak, it operated more than 130 locations. It first filed for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2020, restructured, emerged, and then filed for bankruptcy again in 2025. 2 bankruptcies in 5 years. The company now operates around 40 locations. The most recent filings show Bar Louie carrying under $10 million in assets while owing debts of between $50 and $100 million. A 10-to-1 debt-to-asset ratio in an industry where margins are thin and the consumer spending environment is as difficult as it has been in a generation. Number 8, On the Border. On the Border Mexican Grill and Cantina started 2025 with approximately 120 locations. By February, it had closed 40 of them, citing problems with rent and financial performance. In March 2025, it filed for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, citing a severe liquidity crisis. Then in 2026, OTB Hospitality filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, not a restructuring but a liquidation. All company-owned United States locations were shut down. The end came quickly once Chapter 7 replaced Chapter 11. Number 7, Denny's. Denny's is not bankrupt. It is something more concerning, a brand slowly becoming irrelevant. In February 2025, Denny's announced it would close between 70 and 90 locations over the course of the year, on top of 2024 closures. Then it sold itself to a private equity company. Same-store sales at locations open for at least a year were down 2.9% by the third quarter of 2025. Private equity ownership of restaurant chains has a track record that is difficult to argue with. Red Lobster, TGI Fridays, Hooters, Bar Louie. The pattern is consistent. Acquire a brand, load it with debt, cut investment in the physical restaurants, raise prices, and eventually watch the customers leave. Denny's has now entered that cycle. Number 6, Buca di Beppo. Buca di Beppo is the Italian family-style chain known for its large portions, communal dining atmosphere, and walls covered in vintage Italian-American photography. In August 2025, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy for the second time in 5 years, another member of the Chapter 22 club, the pattern of chains that restructure through bankruptcy and then end up in bankruptcy again. In November 2025, a court approved the sale of 44 remaining corporate-owned restaurants to its lender, Main Street Capital Corporation, for a credit bid of $27 million. The chain that once commanded premium prices for big Italian-American celebration dinners could not generate enough cash to service its obligations. Before we get to the top 5, consider what the data actually shows about why this is happening. Inflation raised the cost of labor and food in the restaurant industry by 35% from 2019 to 2025. Average menu prices at casual dining restaurants went up 31%. The consumer who used to spend $60 on a Tuesday night casual dinner is now spending that same $60 feeding their family for a week at Aldi, or ordering delivery at half the casual dining price point, or going to a Chili's because Chili's made the strategic decision to hold prices and invest in service. Chili's same restaurant sales grew double digits for 3 consecutive quarters in 2025. Texas Roadhouse sales increased 7.7%. These are chains that read the consumer environment and made different decisions. The chains on this list are not victims of an unstoppable force. They are victims of decisions about debt, about price, about service that made them unable to compete. Number 5, TGI Fridays. TGI Fridays filed for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy in November 2024 with 161 United States locations. By April 2025, that number had fallen to 85. Fewer than 80 American locations remain of a chain that once operated in the hundreds domestically. Securitized financing made it nearly impossible to invest in its restaurants, even when investment was clearly needed. The brand that invented Ladies' Night and helped define the American casual dining experience in the 1980s and 1990s watched its relevance evaporate as younger consumers chose alternatives with better food, faster service, and lower prices. The surviving locations are attempting a repositioning around house-made sauces and hand-cut steaks. Whether that is enough to matter in a market that has largely moved on is the question the next 12 months will answer. Number 4, Hooters. Hooters filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in April 2025, becoming the third major casual dining chain in rapid succession to seek court protection. Its model was built on 2 things: chicken wings and a particular kind of atmosphere. Buffalo Wild Wings and Wingstop undercut the wing prices. The atmosphere became increasingly out of touch with a consumer culture that had moved on. And like TGI Fridays and Red Lobster, Hooters used securitized financing that stripped away the flexibility it needed to renovate and reinvest. The chain is attempting a family-friendly makeover as it emerges from bankruptcy. Whether a chain whose entire identity was built on one specific kind of experience can successfully reinvent itself as something fundamentally different is one of the more interesting questions in American casual dining. Number 3, Fat Brands. Fat Brands is a Beverly Hills-based restaurant holding company that assembled a portfolio of 18 chains, including Smoky Bones, Johnny Rockets, Round Table Pizza, Twin Peaks, and Ponderosa Steakhouse. On January 26, 2026, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy with debt approaching $1.26 billion. The bankruptcy ended Smoky Bones entirely. On April 27, 2026, all remaining Smoky Bones locations were permanently closed. The chain that had operated a barbecue and sports bar concept for decades across the American Southeast and Midwest simply ceased to exist. 32 locations across multiple brands had already closed before the filing. Fat Brands represents the multi-chain version of the casual dining collapse, a holding company that acquired struggling brands, took on enormous debt, and ultimately could not generate enough revenue across its portfolio to service what it owed. Number 2, Red Lobster. Red Lobster's bankruptcy in 2024 is already the case study that every casual dining analyst cites. Thai Union, the global shrimp supplier that acquired a stake in the chain, cut long-standing suppliers and pushed out veteran employees. It made $20 endless shrimp a permanent menu item, a promotion that drove traffic but devastated margins. By the time the consequences were fully visible in the financials, Red Lobster had closed hundreds of locations and filed for bankruptcy. The chain is now attempting a comeback under new CEO Damola Adamolekun. The remaining fleet is smaller and focused. Whether the brand retains enough recognition and goodwill in the communities it still serves is what the next phase of its story will determine. Red Lobster is not dead, but it is a significantly diminished version of what it was, and the decisions that cause that diminishment are a permanent case study in what happens when a food company is run by people who understand finance but not food. Number 1, not a chain, a format. The American casual dining sector, the sit-down, full-service, mid-price restaurant that served the middle-income family wanting something nicer than fast food but not fine dining expensive, is in structural decline. Prices went up 34% since 2019. The middle-income American families who were the core customer base did not see their incomes go up 34%. They made adjustments. They started cooking more. They started ordering from fast casual restaurants at half the price. They went to Chili's, which held prices, and Texas Roadhouse, which invested in service. And they stopped going to the chains that raised prices, cut service, and let their physical restaurants fall behind. The consumers who still eat at casual dining restaurants have not disappeared. They have relocated. They are at Chipotle. They are at Shake Shack. They are at the fast casual Mediterranean place that opened where a Denny's used to be. The format that served them for 40 years charged them too much, gave them too little, and made the decision for them. The 9 chains on this list did not all fail for exactly the same reason. Bar Louie ran out of investors willing to absorb its debt. On the Border ran out of time before it could find a solution. Denny sold itself to private equity before understanding what that means for a restaurant brand. TGI Fridays and Hooters watched their core identity become irrelevant without the cash to reinvent. Fat Brands assembled a portfolio of broken things and called it a strategy. Red Lobster was operated by people who understood shrimp supply chains better than they understood restaurants. But underneath each specific story is the same structural shift. The middle-income American consumer has permanently recalibrated what they are willing to pay for a sit-down meal. And the casual dining chains that did not recognize that shift early enough or could not adapt fast enough because of the debt they were carrying are now paying the price. Subscribe before the next video, because in this category the story is not over. It is just getting started.